Welcome to our training on Firewatch. Athens, Greece. Workers at a lumber mill had shut down one of several sprinkler systems in the plant while removing a conveyor. As they were cutting bolts from the conveyor with welding equipment, some of the sparks passed through cracks in the floor and landed in sawdust below. The sparks smoldered for 3 hours without being noticed by the maintenance employees, who were the only people left in the plant. The fire spread, resulting in the total loss of the lumber storage and stacker buildings. New Orleans, Louisiana, United States. A contractor installing new elevator equipment in an office building set a number of fires as a result of cutting and welding operations. All of the blazes were extinguished, or so the contractor's employees thought. However, when the employees left for the day, there was an additional fire left burning unchecked. The building was destroyed. Shanghai, China. A welder wearing multi-layer anti-contamination clothing, cotton coveralls, and a full face respirator failed to recognize that he was on fire and was fatally burned. What do all of these incidents have in common? They all occurred as a result of hot work, cutting, welding, and other work that generates heat and sparks, taking place without an adequate fire watch in place. Many insurance companies report that hot work losses are among the top causes of loss at the properties they insure. That's not surprising. A fire can do a lot of damage very quickly. What may be surprising is the news that most, if not all, hot work incidents are completely preventable, and a fire watch, conducted properly, is one of the most important ways to keep workers safe during hot work and prevent damage and destruction to property. You're here to learn how to conduct a fire watch for hot work. When you complete this training, you'll be able to understand the hazards presented by hot work, describe where hot work is and is not permitted, identify the safety precautions needed to prepare an area for hot work, explain the role and responsibilities of a fire watcher, recall the responsibilities of other individuals involved in hot work, and know what emergency procedures need to be in place for hot work. So let's get started. You've already got a good idea of what hot work is, but let's provide a clear definition. Hot work refers to any type of work that produces or uses a spark, flame, or heat sufficient for combustion. Examples include welding, heat treating, grinding, thawing pipe, powder-driven fasteners, hot riveting, and torch-applied roofing. And as we've seen, because of the potential for fire and injury presented by hot work, it requires certain special procedures that you need to know about. Government agencies often specify precautions for hot work in the workplace. Much of this course reflects widely recognized workplace fire prevention standards and rules, but the specific standards and rules you must follow will depend upon where you are working and who you are working for. Because insurance companies, local fire departments, and your own company also have something to say about fire prevention, it's quite likely that you will have to follow standards and rules that are more stringent than those we'll present during this course. Let's pause for a moment for some questions about what you've learned so far. Which of the following is not an example of hot work? Which of the following is likely to impact hot work procedures at your facility? So where is hot work done? Hot work is allowed only in areas that are or that have been made fire safe. Some institutions may have designated hot work areas. These are work areas that are free of combustible and flammable content and that are segregated from other work areas. Designated areas need to be constructed of non-combustible or fire-resistant materials. However, if there is no designated area available, make the area safe by removing or protecting combustibles from ignition sources. A permit may be needed for hot work in these areas. Permits are typically authorized by a supervisor or permit authorizing individual after necessary precautions have been confirmed. Permits may then be posted at the job site. Some areas are never safe for hot work, and they include areas not authorized by management, buildings where the sprinklers are not working properly, areas with explosive atmospheres, such as flammable gases, vapors, liquids, or dusts, and areas with an accumulation of combustible dusts that could develop explosive atmospheres. When the decision is made that it is not feasible to make an area safe, no hot work should be done in that area. The focus of our training today will be on hot work in permit-required areas, those that need to be made fire safe before hot work can proceed. Of course, the safest hot work is the hot work you don't actually do. Whenever possible, hot work should be avoided and alternative methods used. If hot work cannot be avoided, the next option is to move the hot work to a designated safe location. If it is not possible to move work to a designated safe location, then relocate all movable combustibles to a safe place. Remove or shield all combustible materials within an 11-meter radius of the hot work from potential heat, sparks, or flame. If combustibles are not movable, then use safeguards such as fire-resistant blankets and welding screens to protect the immovable combustibles and nearby personnel from the heat, sparks, and other hazards of the job, such as fumes and intense light. It's not enough to fireproof the immediate area where hot work will take place, however. It's also important to prevent fire from spreading to other areas. For this reason, consider and take action to protect combustibles on levels underneath the hot work and combustibles in areas where conducted heat or sparks may travel. While every effort is made to make an area fire safe before hot work begins, people performing the work must remain focused on the job. Additional help is needed to watch for accidental fires. This is the job of the fire watcher. The individual or individuals who conduct the fire watch observe the hot work operations to make sure that heat, sparks, or flames don't ignite anything or anyone while the hot work is being performed. If a fire should break out, the fire watchers are responsible for sounding the alarm and stopping the hot work. Fire watchers must have the training, equipment, and authority to take action and/or stop work if anything of concern is observed. The fire watch should be in place during and for at least 30 minutes after hot work, including during any breaks. Additional fire watchers may be required for areas adjoining the area where the hot work is taking place, or above or below that work. In addition, fully charged and operable fire extinguishers that are capable of extinguishing the types of fires possible in that particular location need to be readily available at the site of the hot work being done. Let's pause again for another round of questions about what you've learned. All combustible materials within what radius of the hot work need to be either removed or shielded from potential heat, sparks, or flame? Which of the following is needed by a fire watcher to do the job properly? As we just discussed, the fire watcher's job is quite literally to watch for fires. Fire watcher is an incredibly important role. Hot work operators may literally be insulated from the outside world by the personal protective equipment that they are wearing for safety. If operators wear properly shaded eye protection, they may see a little less. If they wear heat and flame-resistant clothing, they may feel a little less. And if they wear a respirator properly, they may smell a little less. And whatever a welder does sense may be dismissed as a normal part of the hot work. Think about it. It's perfectly normal to smell smoke and fumes, hear crackling sounds, and see intense or flickering light. A good fire watcher will help to prevent or extinguish small fires and watch out for the welder's safety. Fire watcher responsibilities include being trained to understand the hazards of the work site and the hot work, ensuring that safe conditions are maintained during hot work, stopping the hot work operations if unsafe conditions develop, having fire extinguishing equipment readily available and being trained to use it, and being familiar with the facility and procedures for sounding an alarm in the event of a fire. Fire watchers are accountable for watching in all areas where sparks and heated hot work material may travel. Typically, the watch takes place within 11 meters of the hot work, but it can potentially extend farther away to avoid falling sparks or material and flying materials carried by wind or drafts. The fire watcher tries to extinguish fires only when it is obvious that they can be put out with the available equipment. If the fire is more than can be handled with the available equipment, the fire watcher must sound the alarm immediately. In cases where the fire watcher cannot see all areas where sparks and heated hot work material may travel, multiple fire watchers may be needed. We've looked at the responsibilities of the fire watcher. However, as you might expect from an activity where so many precautions are required, a number of other people have responsibilities during hot work. Let's look at each responsible party in turn. Facility management ensures the safe operation of hot work activity by defining site policies, ensuring people involved with hot work know about the hazards, precautions, and site policies, and designating a permit authorizing individual to ensure that hot work operations are conducted safely. The permit authorizing individual is responsible for ensuring areas are made safe from fire by moving or shielding combustibles, seeing that extinguishers are properly located at the site, and making sure that fire watch precautions are taken as needed. Hot work operators are responsible for conducting hot work safely. This involves making sure their equipment is safe, following safe work procedures, and immediately stopping work if unsafe conditions develop. Hot work can be risky business. Even if you've taken all of the precautions, there is still a chance that incidents will happen. An emergency action plan is needed. Fires can spread quickly and rekindle, even after you think they've been put out. If a fire happened today, would you know who to contact for help and how to contact them? You need to have a means to make emergency notifications, a working phone, cell phone, or a two-way radio. You need to know the right emergency numbers to call. Your best action may be to call local emergency services, but if a trained fire brigade or emergency response team is available on site, this may provide a quicker response. Know and follow the policy for emergency notifications where you are working. Only try to extinguish small, easily controllable fires if you have been trained to do so. Company policies may require that you notify others even if you will be putting fires out yourself. Your health and safety are the first priority. Evacuate if the situation exceeds your capabilities. Let's review. Is this statement true or false? You should only try to put out small, easily controllable fires if you have been. The last topic we'll look at today in our Fire Watch training involves special situations where additional precautions may be required for hot work. Confined spaces are, by definition, confined. Small spaces without proper ventilation may concentrate fumes to the point where they are unhealthy to breathe. Burning during the hot work process may also deplete oxygen. Government regulations may require a permit for confined spaces. Know and follow your company's policy for hot work in confined spaces. Hazardous or classified locations have the potential to contain flammable or combustible vapors, gases, or dusts that are easily ignitable during normal operations. Therefore, many extra precautions are needed before any hot work can happen in these areas, because the hot work activity is the ignition source needed for a fire or explosion. If the area where you will be conducting the fire watch contains combustibles, it is likely to be protected by a fire protection system, such as overhead sprinklers. Generally speaking, hot work should not take place when this protection is not available. Hot work on rooftops is especially risky. There is no overhead sprinkler system to provide protection, so additional precautions may be necessary. Let's try one more round of questions before we close. Answer these questions. Hot work in a confined space may lead to what? Is this statement true or false? It is acceptable to conduct hot work in an area with an impaired fire system as long as you have an extinguisher on hand. Congratulations! This concludes our training on Fire Watch. We hope that you have a better understanding of the importance of this responsibility and the steps you can take as a fire watcher to reduce the risk of fires and injury when hot work takes place. Now that you've completed the module, you should be able to understand the hazards presented by hot work, describe where hot work is and is not permitted, identify the safety precautions needed to prepare an area for hot work, explain the role and responsibilities of a fire watcher, recall the responsibilities of other individuals involved in hot work, and know what emergency procedures need to be in place for hot work. Remembering this information and applying it as you conduct the fire watch will make sure that hot work at your facility proceeds safely. Thanks for your participation.